Welcome back to the Ringer Gambling Show. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. It's the Tuesday edition of the show. We got a lot to get to. Monday Night Football reactions. But first and foremost, let's say what's up to our guy, cousin Sal. Sal, how you doing on this Tuesday morning?
I'm doing okay, Tate. I've been popping Tums for the last 4 days, but I'm regrouping. I'm getting together. So much sports to talk. My goodness. Let's get going. Let's get past this Giants-Patriots game and talk about stuff, other terrible stuff like Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, you got a lot of Tums in the stomach because you were kind of responsible for this situation we have here. The Patriots have won 10 straight games, 11 wins on the season. You called him Drake maybe, and ever since then, Sal, he's been Drake definitely, and he's been definitely one of the best players in the NFL right now. And last night, I kind of believed in the Giants. I gave it out on Sunday. I liked the plus 7.5. I thought the Giants D-line might give the Patriots a little bit of trouble, but of course, the opposite happens because that's the world we live in, Sal. Did we learn anything from this game last night other than we'll talk about some of the most biggest snafus we've seen in quite some time, but Drake May, pretty good in this one, Sal.
The Ringer Gambling Show is presented by FanDuel. FanDuel's got it all. Same game parlays, quick bets for jumping in live, and your way so you can build the bet that fits your parlay. Plus, don't miss out on holiday offers and surprises all month long. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut.
Yeah, I know. Multiple touchdown passes. Still hasn't thrown for 300 yards, Tate. Still has not thrown. I feel like he never will. He's just not that kind of quarterback. I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. By the way, did you see this Betterment ad? They do a whole thing on Drake May versus Drake Maybe. And I was like, do I even want to sue or do I want to distance myself from this whole thing? Turns out it came out 2 months ago, so the idea was probably ahead of me, thank God. But, look, I had the Giants plus 7.5 too. Everybody on the Ringer pregame show had the Giants plus 7.5. I feel like that's a decent bet. If that punt return doesn't happen for the touchdown, New England took it all the way back. And if the Giants kicker didn't decide to quit kicking in the middle of a snap, I don't know what the hell that was. Did you ever see that before? Like where you just forget to kick the ball or come up short or just leave it? Just leave it.
Kick the ground. Young Wei Koo, in case you missed it. This is, I think, there's a first time for everything, right, Sal? I mean, he hits the ground probably about a foot behind the football, and they cut to Jackson Dart on the sideline, and Dart was just as confused as everybody else. He was very frustrated, rightfully so. Young Wei Koo, obviously a really talented kicker, but when that happened, Sal, I feel like that was the perfect kind of sentiment for what we're doing this season with the New York Giants. Not great. Not good to see.
Is it Young Wei Koo or Young Koo Kim? Is it that? I'm not, honestly, did I copy and paste his name wrong? I'm not sure. By the way, he says this is not the first time this has happened to him.
I wouldn't tell anybody that. Yeah.
He's like, no, this happens. This happens all the time. What are you talking about? What? And I'm in the yard with the kids and everything. So I don't know, man. That was rough. But and the other thing, like Jackson Dart getting lit up a few times. I don't know that the Pats are the dirtiest team in the NFL, but that looked pretty rough what they did to him. Is he just like 90 pounds lighter than everybody? Because it looks like they're shooting a Marvel movie every time he gets hit near the sideline. He goes flying into the third row.
I do feel like he has a career as a stuntman if he does not figure out this football thing. He did say he also does not play soccer, so he's willing to take the hits. There was a moment late in that game where Drake May's running toward the sideline. He had a couple Giants defenders that are kind of coming at him, and he decides to slide and get out of bounds, and they cut to Jackson Dart, and it felt like he was disgusted by Drake May sliding. So I think he doesn't want to slide, Sal. I don't know what this is. Maybe he needs some lessons in sliding, because if he keeps taking hits like this, he's going to end up in the blue tent quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree, but I also feel for him in that, like, his post-game presser, he was like, listen, I appreciate the concern, but this is how I got to the NFL. This is what I do, and just get used to it. And the other thing is, I think that was 2nd and 9. Is he just supposed to, if he could get a shot at the flag, like, is he supposed to come up 3 yards short just to make everybody happy? Like, I think everybody would be pissed if he went out early and it was like 3rd and 3 for no reason when he could get the first down. So I don't know, man. I'm somewhere in the middle. He probably shouldn't even be playing for this Giants team the rest of the year because they have no shot. But I like that he told everyone to shut the F up, basically, in the press conference.
Yeah, that's classic. That seems to be his MO at this point. Also, Abdul Carter back in this game gets a sack, which was an encouraging sign. Remember at the start of, I guess it was during the draft, after he got drafted by the Giants, he was trying to wear Lawrence Taylor's number and all this sort of stuff. I don't know if that really worked out, but it's good to see him back on the field. He got benched for a short period, but he comes out and gets a sack last night. So there are some encouraging signs for the New York Giants. I'm sure JJ will break it down on New York, but right now, it's really a big win for all the New England Patriots fans out there. So I'm sure Bill Simmons is happy.
Yeah, sure. Bill Simmons is happy. That's great. But the Abdul Carter thing is very strange, right? Like you said, he asked for number 56 and then asked for Simmons' 11. But 56, he was going to be the sack artist. He gets his first sack in week, what was this, 13? So, but maybe the off-season stuff, maybe that's how he's trying to associate with Lawrence Taylor, because he's getting in a little trouble. He was mildly suspended. What do you even say? Is it a suspension when you get to come in the second drive, whatever it is? So that's 2 games. The first one, he apparently was sleeping. He denied that, missed a practice or was late for practice. The second one, now they're saying he was caught watching porn, was late for a practice. So I don't know. So he's doing the off-season LT stuff. Can't really do it on the field. I don't know that I believe this. Now he's caught in this crazy excuse loop. I don't know what's going to be next. He joined ICE. I'm not sure what's next for the Abdul Carter. Should we plan it out for week 14 on? It's pretty great.
I think we need Hard Knocks there. I think that's the real story.
Yeah.
Maybe we get some off-season coverage of, just learn from Lawrence Taylor on the football field, not off the football field. I think that's a good way to look at it. But you mentioned maybe. You kept saying maybe there. It makes me think of Drake maybe. Looking at the MVP odds, Sal, he's now the favorite. Do you feel like Drake May is the MVP this season, or is there going to be a little bit more of a shakeup as we kind of figure out the last few weeks?
I think it'll shift Stafford's way if he gets another couple wins. Maybe has off this week and then plays the Bills and at the Ravens. So I think that'll move him down. I think Stafford will have a big enough lead going into week 17 and 18. So I would take Stafford at plus 130, but I probably should stay away from everything Drake May related at this point.
Yeah, it does feel like, I think it's December 18th or somewhere in that range. They play in Seattle. That could be a moment for Matthew Stafford to kind of send his message to everybody that he is the MVP. Let's talk some headlines, Sal, because obviously this is the biggest headline from over the weekend. A lot of games, a lot of big moments, a lot of storylines, but obviously the real story was Lane Kiffin at the Oxford airport with all the Ole Miss fans out there saying they want to spend their Thanksgiving weekend by booing Lane Kiffin and figuring out which offensive staff members are getting on the private plane to fly to Baton Rouge. How shocked were you that Lane Kiffin was willing to leave a playoff team, and how upset are you, Sal? Because a lot of people are very fired up about this.
I want to be upset about this. Can you teach me how to be upset? Because I'm not that upset. Like if certain things happen the rest of the way that ruin this playoff system, I'm going to be upset, but it's not my team. Doesn't affect my team. I don't care. It's kind of crappy that this happened, but now they're saying is a Lane lookalike got on the plane. That wasn't even him, and he might still be at Ole Miss. No, we were talking before the show. Like you read 100 things on the West Coast when you wake up, and you have to decide which 98 are false and which 2 are true. So the Lane Kiffin has that number has exploded. But I don't listen. I just feel like this is a weird thing. This SEC coaching phenomenon where we'll never understand why there's so much money involved. Like the Starbucks CEO, I looked it up, makes $96 million. And I just don't understand it. Like you sell overpriced coffee and the whole country's addicted. Is that going to change if this dude makes 40 million? This is SEC football for me, right? The Kentucky coach was bought out for 37 million. It's just something I won't understand. But if it ruins the playoffs, it's one thing if guys are opting out of these stupid bowl games. As a gambler, it kills me because I don't know how to handicap some of these because you have to keep track. But, if you have like Jeremiah Love saying, no, I'm playing for LSU next year, I can't play in the playoff game. I mean, you laugh, but this is going to be like a kind of a thing, right? Then I'll be pissed. But right now I'm not. I don't know.
Yeah, we had Black Friday, and then we had SEC Coaching Carousel Sunday, Cyber Monday after that. But again, on Sunday, a lot of dominoes fell. Lane Kiffin does his LSU announcement. It was supposed to be on Saturday after the Egg Bowl. It turns into a Sunday decision. He was waiting for the Alabama-Auburn result, which was a very strange wrinkle in the whole situation.
I thought he was waiting to pray. Didn't he say he was going to pray?
Apparently, it's been done for a couple weeks now, so I don't know if the prayer was I think the prayer was just like, I hope I get my upfront payment,
And now Ole Miss fans have to think that God doesn't like them because he prayed and God told them that. I don't know. God, I'd love to see God do a press conference too because he seems to be figuring in prominently here.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions for him to figure out. But again, the rest of the carousel in college football, Lane Kiffin, the first domino falls from there. Florida decides to hire John Summerall, who again has a team just like Lane Kiffin that is knocking on the door of the playoff, but he is now going to be the head coach at Florida. We had Alex Golish with South Florida, another team that's a G5 candidate that's now going to be coaching Auburn. They're asking him about playing golf at his first press conference because the previous coach, Hugh Freeze, apparently was playing too much golf, which was a fascinating thing. We had Will Stein, who is the offensive coordinator of Oregon, who's also in the playoff. That's now going to be the head coach of Kentucky. So like you said, these are none of the teams that really earned the spot in the playoff. They're all very different. So trying to figure out the handicapping of what to look forward to is going to be very odd.
Yeah, and I don't know what wasting $37 million, like in the Kentucky case. I really don't know. It's so beyond what we're used to now that governors are getting involved. And God, I don't know if the governor of Louisiana is going to take more credit than God, but this is really something else. And we'll get to the lines and everything else, but they already have a line out for Ole Miss LSU. We'll talk about that a little later on.
I can't wait. Let's great little tease there. Let's get into it. Line look aheads. We got conference championship weekend coming up. A lot of confusion about the teams that are playing in conferences like the ACC. We'll get to that, but let's start with number 1 versus number 2. We got number 2 Indiana versus number 1 Ohio State. Ohio State minus 4.5 in this game. The over/under, Sal, is set at 48.5. Who do you like in this one? And do you think this is the best game of the weekend? I would assume so, 1 versus 2, but we've had people arguing otherwise.
Yeah, it's the best. I'm not sure how the importance of it. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of a bummer. It doesn't mean much. It's probably not even for a bye, right? Though, as long as no one loses by 40 here, I can imagine that these two teams will both have byes heading into the playoffs. The one exciting thing is it could be saying, competing right now against Mendoza for the Heisman. So we'll get into that. I know, but I don't know. I'm making a teaser here. I don't know how else to do it. I'm going to go Indiana plus 10.5, under 54.5. I'm bumping that to under 54.5. I don't care who's next. There has to be a bit of a letdown after that Michigan matchup where the players were in a fist fight after every play for Ohio State. And Curt Cignetti, he has the team dialed in. The Ohio State defense allowed 11 offensive touchdowns. Indiana allowed 10, right? I think Mendoza makes enough big plays behind that strong offensive line. They only allowed 15 sacks. You may only need to make 2 or 3 plays to keep this close, and Ryan Day just does enough to win. Not looking to run it up. My model, Tate, has this as a 30-21 type game. I'm not sure the margins even get that wide. So, and look, it may be the case that Ohio State is just a level above everyone else like last year, so I already feel stupid, and you're prepared to look really stupid. You're taking IU to win the game, huh?
Yeah, I'm sticking my neck out there. I do feel like Indiana needs this game more. I think Ohio State is totally fine going into this game, and maybe they play a little bit of possum in this one. They don't want to show too much because, again, like you said, this is almost like a scrimmage at this point. You want to make sure everybody stays healthy before you make the real stretch run for the national championship. So I think Indiana, this game means more. They want to prove that they actually belong and have a seat at the table. So I'm going to take a shot here. Indiana money line. Curt Cignetti has a big game, plus 168.
Before we move on, let's look at those Heisman. We've gone through it almost every week of the season.
Yeah.
It is Mendoza and Pavia at plus 160 and Sayin at plus 195. My guy, I was saying I liked him at plus 420 after Miami went away, and I stayed with that. You care to, you think this game decides it, or did he pose enough to get it done?
Too many poses. I think that should actually knock him out. Maybe you invite him to New York because he obviously wants it so bad. And, winning 10 games at Vanderbilt does matter. I think it is a big, point of contention with a lot of people. Like, maybe they should be in the playoff. We want to see Diego Pavia in the playoffs. But again, I think you're right. This is whoever wins this game, whoever has the better game ends up with the Heisman Trophy. And I just like Heisman Mendoza. I just feel like that's going to be the story. So Fernando Mendoza, he's my pick. I've sort of been. Marcel Reed was there for a minute, but then he got taken out after Texas.
We need to know who's voted already and who hasn't, right? Does this game even mean that much to the voters, right? Because I feel like voters, gamblers get mad when a guy is questionable and they announce it like a day, game time decision. Oh, what, you knew Wednesday Lamar Jackson wasn't playing and you didn't say anything? What about who has voted and who hasn't? I feel like that needs to be out there for the people betting this prop, for it to be legit.
Also, the fan vote has just been completely out of whack the entire season. I think Marcel Reed's still the favorite on the Heisman fan vote. So the fans, they've already voted, and they voted a little too soon. So we'll see what happens with that. But I do think, yeah, you're right. Saying Mendoza, that's the storyline. Who wins the Heisman Trophy? We will decide in the Big Ten championship game. Now let's go. Next up, line look ahead. Number 4, Georgia, SEC championship game versus number 10, Alabama. This is a game that Kirby Smart just cannot evade, it feels like. Alabama plus 2.5 in this one. Over-under set at 47.5. Who do you like in this one, Sal?
Another one that I would have been glued to the TV. Now it's just, all right, how much do I care about the Dr. Pepper challenge before this game? is the chick going to be able to, backhand the ball through the hole 8 times when the other guy doesn't? I don't know. Whatever. But Georgia's in the playoffs. There's not even odds on them to make or miss. Alabama's minus 3,000 to make the playoffs. So this is also not a do or die game. There are still people who think Alabama should be out if they lose, which I think is ridiculous. I don't think you can penalize a team for losing in a top 2 championship game. But I also don't think Caleb DeBoer takes any chances here. Bama can hang with this Georgia team. They match up well. They already beat him. This was one of Ty Simpson's best games. He's 24 for 38, 2 touchdown passes. They held Gunnar Stockton to a pedestrian-type game at quarterback. That score was closer than the game, really. It was 14-0 Bama. They were controlling it. This is not a home game for Georgia, technically, even though it is in the Georgia Dome. I think Bama's the better team with potentially slightly more to lose. 26-22 Roll Tide, grab the 2.5. Oh, that score works out for you, Tate. I'm seeing what you just took.
Yeah, I'm going to take the over in this game. I just think there's going to be more touchdowns. I think that it's going to open up a little bit on the back end. You mentioned Ty Simpson. He's been able to expose that Georgia secondary a little bit. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Maybe like 28-24, somewhere in that range. And I don't know if I would take Georgia in this one, but it does feel like they're kind of due in this game. Alabama, obviously the number 1 seed in the SEC. How funny is it, Sal, that Florida State finishes 13th in the ACC and they beat the number 1 team in the SEC? If that happened the other way around, I feel like we'd hear about that 24/7. That'd be the only talking point we hear about. But, We'll leave it for the SEC talking heads.
I know you love the ACC and everything, but Coach Belichick just killed it. That was going to be the big storyline, right? It didn't matter. As soon as Coach Belichick, it looked like he wasn't going to compete, and Cade Klubnik and Dabo weren't going to do anything with Clemson, people were really, really down on the ACC, and there's not anything you could do about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and honestly, let's talk about it. The ACC line look ahead here. These are 2 teams that Bill Belichick should have beaten this season, so that gives you an idea of how bad these teams are that are playing for the ACC championship. We got Duke versus number 18, Virginia. Virginia destroyed Duke a few weeks ago, so I will give them a little bit of credit. I'm not going to disparage them, but Virginia in this game, Sal, minus 3.5, over-under set at 57.5, so we expect some points in this one. Who do you like in this game?
Yeah, this is another potential mess for the committee if 7-5 Duke pulls off the upset. The Cavs,
can't let
like
them
you
in.
said, they can't. They're done. Sorry. We just saw there's a weird wrinkle in the bylaws. You'll have to read the small print, but yeah, like you said, the Cavs doubled them up the first time they played 34-17. It's a bad matchup, I think, for Duke. They're number 128 in success rate on defense. Chandler Morris, the Virginia quarterback, has only 3 interceptions in his last 8 games. Here's what's interesting. 2 of them were against Duke, and Virginia still slaughtered them. And it was mainly because of Jamari Taylor, who went for 133 on the ground. I think there's a similar game in Charlotte this Saturday. I'll say Virginia wins 33-23. But Tate, you like this Duke team. What is it with you? You always have to talk Duke up. What's wrong with you?
I just feel like this is the perfect, kind of wrap on the ACC season. It has been absolute chaos, Atlantic Coast chaos, as we like to call it. And I think that Duke winning this game just throws everything into a tailspin. And then you're going to have people, like you said, the bylaws will probably be changed where Miami is going to be. They're going to make it so the highest ranked CFP team goes into the playoff if you have this 5-way tie like they had instead of a team like Duke that gets into it. So I'm still going to take Duke plus 3.5. I just feel like this is the perfect example of why this whole thing makes 0 sense. So Duke, I have your back, as I always do. This is a long-standing tradition, so everybody knows that. So there you go. ACC.
You're not going to be able to come home again, Tate. That was the last Thanksgiving you're allowed.
Yeah, my mom just threw up as she listened to that. It was a joke. It's sarcasm. Next up, Big 12 championship game. Another one where you would assume that both teams will make the playoff, but we'll see based on the score in this one. Number 11, BYU versus number 5, Texas Tech. Texas Tech, the line is insane here. Minus 13.5. Over/under is set at 50.5. Do you think that Texas Tech rolls again against BYU, Sal?
I don't know that they roll. I'm going to go under here, but this is the game that the committee is praying. Like, it's one thing if Duke gets in, that's kind of embarrassing, sure. But if BYU wins this, they're a decent team, but they're not going to drop Texas all the way out, right? Texas Tech, rather. Sorry. So they don't want to have one less tough decision to make here. So they don't want to drop Notre Dame because BYU wins, and that's kind of what we're looking at here. Texas Tech won 29-7 the first time they played. Cougs quarterback, Bear Backmeyer, he had a tough time getting to the red zone. I think he only passed the 50-yard line in the first. He didn't in the first and third quarter at all, I read in that game. Like, everyone has a tough time against this Texas Tech defense. They allow 11 points per game. Just win and get out of there. Raiders, I think they're the more superior team. They don't need to flex. They might be the best team called the Raiders in the country. I would like to see a line on that. Las Vegas against Texas Tech. So BYU played an under game in 5 of the last 7 road matchups. Let's count this as a road game. 26-16. I think it stays under by a touchdown.
I like that call. I'm going to go BYU plus 13.5. It's just such a big number. I feel like they have to be more competitive in this game. It was obviously at Texas Tech when they got destroyed in that game. So BYU plus 13.5, minus 110. Feels like there's some value there. And Bachmeier can't play much worse than he did in that first matchup. So maybe BYU gets a little bit of life. But I'm with you. The committee is definitely rooting for Texas Tech to win big in this game so they can have less hard decisions in that room as they figure out who's going to be actually in the CFP. Last line look ahead. This is sort of a track to the future as well. 2026, we have a matchup, LSU, Lane Kiffin's new team versus Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin's old team. This is the line that is set right now. Ole Miss at home, obviously, plus 1.5. The over-under is set at 58.5, Sal. I wish we had a line on how many boos we would hear. I need that line. But there's a lot that's we can look forward to in this one. Do you feel like you have a read on what we should expect in this game?
Yes. Bet everything now. This game is exactly how it looks right now. Ole Miss versus old coach. I love that they have a number on it, but it's and I think Thanos wins this. So if I have to take one, I'll take LSU minus the 1.5. But there is so much we don't know. Maybe Arch Manning takes snaps for LSU, right? Maybe they have the Bama kid, Ryan Williams, wide receiver. Maybe a disgruntled Justin Jefferson comes back to the Bayou. He found eligibility. Like, who the hell knows? I mean, I'm a cynic. I'm surprised they're not already making this -3 for LSU. Does the president afford Lane Secret Service protection for this one? If you're Lane Kiffin, say something nice about DT-47, and that's really all it takes. So if I have to, I'll take LSU minus the 1.5, but this is ridiculous.
The funniest part is that Lane has done this before. He went back to Tennessee and has had, the ire, from those fans and Neyland before. So it's not like this is a new situation for him. He seems to like the boos. I remember when he was in Neyland, he was like, they like me a lot, right? He was like kind of joking around and all this sort of stuff. So for whatever reason, Lane is very unaffected. I do feel like Ole Miss is going to have a get back in this game. It feels like the first year there's like a moral victory behind it. Golding, their new head coach, the defensive coordinator that got bumped up, I think he gets a nice win here. So again, probably not the best idea to make the bet now, Sal. Not to advise people one way or the other, but I'll take Ole Miss money line to win in this game. And right now, that's minus 108. So I like the story of Ole Miss kind of getting their get back on Lane. So next year, I'll take the Rebels down there.
All right, I'm holding you to it.
Yeah.
I don't care if Ole Miss might have like 8 guys on playing both ways.
The line will probably be like, plus 13.5, when we get down there. But we'll see what happens. I like it. But there you have it. That'll be a fun game, 2026. A lot of drama in college football. So a lot of good stuff. Lane Kiffin, the gift that keeps on giving. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got Track to the Futures and some over-under reactions. Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Ringer Gambling Show. We just had some fun doing some line look-aheads. Now we get to do some Track to the Futures with Cousin Sal. And we're going to start talking CFP because obviously that is going to be a big, talking point for the next couple of weeks as we try to figure out what 12 teams will be in the playoffs. So we'll start here, Sal. What's a better bet? Miami to make the playoffs, which right now is about plus 650, or Notre Dame to not make the playoffs, plus 310. What say you, Sal?
Well, because of the number, I think Notre Dame to not make it is plus 310. Let's go over it real quick. What would have to happen for Miami to make it? I think Notre Dame would have to lose on a bye this week. I don't know. I don't know what would happen. So Texas Tech would have to be knocked out. Texas Tech would have to be completely knocked out. I don't even know how it would get there. I'm not sure. So I think that's kind of a sucker bet, but it's all of a sudden very complicated. I know you took Miami to make the playoffs last week, and somehow it shook out. Even with SMU, my pick, getting upset, Duke made the title game. So while all the talk is about how Miami needs to jump Notre Dame, none of that might matter. There is talk about how a Duke win or a BYU win could vault James Madison into the field of 12. And all of a sudden now there's not a spot for Notre Dame. Doesn't seem too likely, even though FanDuel has James Madison, yes, as plus 156. That would make it kind of likely. So I don't know. I would never speak ill of FanDuel, but this is kind of where they struggle to make odds.
Yeah, and I mean, it's tough to make odds when you don't know what the committee's going to do because, again, it's all about the way they cluster these teams. So, and their own rationale says when they cluster Miami and Notre Dame together, then Miami head-to-head should be the most valuable kind of piece of information that you have at the table. That's why you see Miami kind of putting out this head-to-head hashtag and promotion and all this sort of stuff. But I think you're right. Miami is not going to make the playoffs unless Notre Dame decides to play James Madison this weekend and kick them out of their championship game or something. I don't know. That's not going to happen. So Miami should be out. Notre Dame to not make it doesn't feel that valuable either. I feel like they'll be in, but plus 310, maybe you take a swing and you see what happens.
Well, you meant that, there are rumors about the Jeremiah Love thing, right? So things like that, like him not playing or not being available, that's that could kind of swing a committee member's vote. I did talk about right now, it might be Ole Miss Notre Dame, which would be just a complete monster of a game. So you wouldn't want to maybe avoid that. But plus 310, I think you might want to take a small swing there.
Maybe if Alabama got defeated by 50 points and then the Oklahoma win over Alabama doesn't look as good or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe that's a way for Miami to find their way in. But it's all very convoluted and confusing. But that's why we love when committees decide the future of football teams. Next up, Sal, Track to the Future. Is there any value in Ole Miss to not make the playoffs? Right now, that's at plus 3,500. Obviously, no head coach, no offensive coordinator. Charlie Weiss is also going with Lane Kiffin to LSU. They have a new head coach, their former defensive coordinator, not a good defensive team. So that could factor into the decision. But is there any value here in your mind?
Well, let's talk about it. It's now up to plus 5,500. So it's, I mean, how heartless, right? Probably not. But this really sucks, right? They say this is a 4-point swing. The Ole Miss team with Kiffin, the Ole Miss team without Kiffin, and the assistant coaches to the spread, whoever they play. But honestly, they can't do this to the kids. They can't count this team out. They can't take them out of the playoffs. What is the message here? Hey, kids, you did a great job, but listen, don't let your coach leave and take all of his coaches with him. So Ole Miss, I think, will be fine. If it's at Notre Dame, that 7-10 matchup, how fun will that be? Everyone in the country rooting for the Rebs in their home game, wherever it is, or first game. I think that's going to be big. I don't think they get boosted.
I don't think so either. And I've seen a lot of people bringing up the Jordan Travis injury with Florida State, but that was a 4-team playoff. It was a totally different situation. If it was a 12-team playoff, Florida State obviously would have been in the playoff, and they probably would have been 5th or 6th or whatever the number was. So Ole Miss, Juracek said he tried to make the very tough joke, which is this: he's like, they're 6 or 7 without Lane Kiffin, right? He was trying to appeal to the kids, and I think every
laughed
kid
and laughed and laughed. You didn't like that? I thought that was freaking hilarious.
I think that was the end of the 6-7 joke. So it was actually something we should admire about Juracek for doing that.
6-7.
Yeah, all the kids are like, I'm done with this. I'll never do it again. So bit of a win there. That was nice. Thanks, Juracek.
We all win.
Except for Ole Miss. We'll see what happens. I think they still get in. And like you said, I think everybody's going to be pulling for this team. So Lane Kiffin did make them sort of the nobody believes in us team. And again, they've only lost one game this season, and that was at Georgia in a game that they kind of control for the most part before Georgia made a nice run there in the third quarter.
They gained millions of eyeballs, millions of fans. They have to keep them in. I know that 55-1, it's all but done. So yeah,
it would have been better TV if Lane was coaching and he had an LSU polo on as he's coaching Ole Miss. That would be
exactly
good. That's what Lane was going for. He was like, "Why can't I do this?"
He demands they line the field with the yard mark every 5 yards, like LSU. Interesting.
He's got a tiger on the sideline with him instead of his dog, which apparently wasn't his dog, which is also a very funny. A lot of storylines with Lane Kiffin.
Left back in Mississippi. Yeah,
poor Juice. Left Juice behind.
There's just no way to go on with your life because you have to read all this nonsense over and over.
I would like if Juice was the head coach. I think I would be even more inclined to pull for Ole Miss. Next up, let's flip to the NFL here. Track to the future, NFL Coach of the Year. Right now, Mike Vrabel, head coach of the New England Patriots. Kind of feels like he's the guy. He's been favored for quite some time, minus 195. Is there anybody else on the board, Sal, that's worth taking a swing at?
Yeah, I mean, it's no fun taking Vrabel. You know, he insists his team play a dirty brand of football. We saw it last night. That's not for me, Tate. So they played the easiest schedule we'll ever see. Ben Johnson also didn't face Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and it's weird because the Bears dropped to 7th seed with the loss at Green Bay this week, and maybe the odds aren't great because I think the Bears would have to be a 1 seed. And if you bet that at plus 600, that's probably a better bet than Ben Johnson being Coach of the Year. But he took his shirt off in the press conference, Tate. And to me, that's the equivalent of Pavia striking the pose 7 times. Like there's no Coach of the Year pose, right? You need a pose like
need a moment.
Maybe biting a clipboard or something. I don't know what it would be. So that's it. So he wants this award. And taking his shirt off, hairless, sex sells in this league, Tate. It really does.
Maybe biting a kneecap or something like Dan Campbell did. You know, you gotta do something to stand out. So yeah, ripping the shirt off. He's taking a card out of the Pat McAfee book there. You know, I think that's apparently people love it when you take your shirt off. And
it's
everyone
a
goes
sexy,
crazy.
sexy move. Dave Campo wore the wetsuit at SeaWorld during Hard Knocks years back. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
And I think he went 5-11. In fact, I know he went 5-11 because he only coached for 3 years and they were 5-11 every year. So either way, I'll take Ben Johnson at plus 240. But your pick is solid, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mike McDonald. It goes back to that game against the Rams where I mentioned Matt Stafford can make his MVP campaign. If the Seattle Seahawks figure out a way to win that game at home, get control of that division, then I feel like there's a conversation to be had about Mike McDonald. I don't think he's going to win because, again, I feel like it's already a shoe-in for Vrabel. But if you want to take a swing, you think some things could break out down the stretch where the Bills and the Ravens get their best against, the Patriots, and maybe they kind of downturn a little bit. Maybe Mike McDonald and the Seahawks kind of jump back into the conversation. So plus 650. I like McDonald. He's a very reserved guy. I feel like he would never take his shirt off in a post game, so he's not going to have one of those moments. But maybe everybody talks themselves into post Pete Carroll, Mike McDonald rebuilding this defense, and Jackson Smith and Jig has just been incredible this season. So I mean, a lot of good storylines. Also the Darnold aspect of it all. It's good to see Darnold have a new home and be playing well. Also to beat the Vikings this weekend. That was a great game. Shut them out. So there's some storylines to kind of push there for Mike McDonald. So plus 650.
He's a road warrior, right? He wins almost all his road games. I know they lost that Rams game, but they're few and far
with
between.
4 interceptions from Darnold.
So
and they could
if
have
he wins
won on a kick.
another big road game and is a 1 or 2 seed, I think that's a really good number, plus 650.
Yeah, I like Mike McDonald. He's a good coach. Next up, track to the future. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs, big talking point always, make the playoffs this season. No minus 130. Yes, plus 106. You read that correctly. Yes, plus 106. What say you, Sal?
All right, I'm checking here. The yes is now plus 120. It's really
goodness.
But let's do it, Tate. Let's once and for all make the call, and we can't change our minds. On 3, will the Chiefs make the playoffs? 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you hesitated a little. Do we have a delay? Were you waiting to hear
No,
what
it
I
was a
said
yes.
there?
It was a I never a doubt yes. There's just no chance. Whatever the refs need to do, Sal, they're getting into the playoffs.
Oh, come on. I hate this pick. I'm saying yes because any other team playing like they are with the schedule ahead of them, I would say no, for sure. But if you give them the 2 wins, they're 6-6, right? You give them the 2 wins against Tennessee and Vegas, and they'd have to have those. So that's 8-6. Texans, Chargers, Broncos, all at home, starting with the Texans this week. They're going to be favored in all 3. They take 2 of those, they'll have 10. And I'm thinking they beat out the Colts, who they have the tiebreaker over. But I don't love it. I don't know that they get to 11. But 10 and a tiebreaker win over the Colts seems to be the only way this is going to happen. I'll stick with yes. My goodness.
Yeah, I'm sticking with yes, and I think 10 and in is the storyline. And then the Colts, it's going to be a long offseason after the hot start they had if the Chiefs are able to jump them and get into the playoffs. So, yeah, it just feels inevitable always at this point. And at 6-6, I think you buy the dip, Sal. At plus 120, it feels like some value there to take a swing on the Kansas City Chiefs because, again, they figure out a way. They know what they're doing.
And if they don't, we could just be mad at them, which we are anyway. Yeah. We're mad at them when they win, so we might as well just be, that effing team. What did they do here? Mahomes has lost it.
Yeah,
be fun.
that sounds great. I like to have a reason to be mad at him. That would be
Yeah,
fun. I was mad during the Super Bowl, that's for sure.
No
Track to
kidding.
the Future, UFC 323 main event. Marab Valashvili minus 520 against Peter Yan, right? Sal?
Piotr, we're being told Piotr Jan. I've heard
Yeah.
Peter. Yeah, Piotr.
I've always thought Peter, so I would say Piotr Yan sounds better.
You know,
plus
you got
340.
Valashvili right, and you would think
The D is silent.
PETR, Jan, would be easy enough, and then that's the one that we botched. All right.
Yeah, it's classic. But I'm going to go to you here. You're the expert. You're locked in on UFC. I was dumb enough to think that this was, the 323 was something about their weights or whatever, the combined weights. I don't know. I don't know what I was talking about. But what do you like in this fight,
Not even
Sal?
close. Yeah, but all right. What I like about it is it's Saturday night. You'll have all the conference championship games will be over. This will be, they'll kill the East Coast viewer there. This will be a 1 a.m. main event matchup here. Valashvili minus 520, Jan plus 340. But I'm going to go Marab Valashvili by KO or submission at plus 440. There's really just no one left in the bantamweight division for him. So they're giving him the rematch against Jan, who he beat up on the mat 2.5 years ago. He won every round. In fact, 6 of his last 7 have been won by unanimous decision. He's getting a reputation as a boring fighter, bad for the sport, all that. I think he's not going to be satisfied unless he submits Jan. Can't have another 50-45 match. Marab by KO or submission plus 440. That's my pick.
I like it. And also the entertainment value behind that pick is something I can get behind. So I'm going to do a salute to you and agree. I like KO submission, and I like the number plus 440. So, let's do it. Let's ride.
Let's
UFC
get it.
323. Going to be a good weekend for sports. Now let's play my favorite game. Let's do some over-under reactions. I read you a statement. You give me an over or an under reaction. Let's start here. Thanksgiving week actually offered too many sporting events for us to consume, Sal. Over or under reaction?
Oh, shame on you, Tate. Take that back.
I didn't say
Take that back.
This is our over-under reaction overlords. This
Take
isn't
it
me.
back. We're going to have to witness the first virtual slap fight in the history of Zoom. I have to say
Is it going to be
overreaction.
KO or submission? That's the question. Yeah.
Plus 440 submission. There was I'll say overreaction, but there was a point on Friday where I was boxing the college football, college hoops, and then had the Eagles Bears on my iPad, laying on the couch, devouring leftover mini brie bites, thinking how much of a loser I could be. This is crazy, but it's never too much. Favorite week of the year. And officially when sports depression sets in for me. Congratulations. So now you have to deal with sad Sal for the next 8 weeks or so.
I don't want sad Sal, but I think you're right. I mean, I was overwhelmed. And then you're fighting for the TV. I wasn't with my family, so I was with my girlfriend's family. So it's like, the football's
that's
taking
rough.
precedent, but I'm trying to watch all these basketball. It was a lot. I had the iPad, my cell phone. It was, and I feel like everywhere across the country, you get arguments started, hopefully over the sports viewing experience and not other things at Thanksgiving. So, that was what was happening this weekend. But again, we love it. We watch all this stuff. It's too good not to watch. It's the best. Next up, Jordan Love should be a top 3 consideration for NFL MVP. He is, if you go to FanDuel Sportsbook right now, over or under reaction, Sal.
Yeah, I'm going to say overreaction. This surprised me a little, right?
Me too.
So, and then I was looking, he has 19 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 2,800 yards. That's good. But this is a weird year, Tate, and kind of like college and pro, where stats-wise, no one's really blowing us away in the MVP race, in the offensive rookie of the year race, and the defensive rookie of the year race. We went over coach of the year, which is a toss-up. But I think Jordan Love was probably a game or two away from us being like, we sure this is Green Bay's guy? And now he's third in MVP running. So this is a long way for me to say Dak Prescott is getting screwed. So sing it to the high heavens with me, Tate. Where is
should have been
Where's
Dak.
Dak on this?
Yeah,
Where is he?
Come on, Dak. Move up the rankings there. And also, Ted McMillan. I think he won Offensive Rookie of the Year this weekend.
You
against
think he
the
pulled
Rams.
it off?
Yeah, I think
I
he
haven't
did.
looked at that.
That was a big
That's
touchdown late in that game. So
Yeah, he appeared out of nowhere. He's plus 110 for O'Roy, and Egbuka, my guy, is plus 290 with Jackson Dart right there.
Yeah.
They're fine. Not a great class.
Again, not good. Heisman, sort of the same deal. Nobody feels like they really, separated from the pack. But again, it's a conversation for another day. Let's talk about the NBA. The Detroit Pistons have a more promising future than the Detroit Lions. I can't believe that's actually written down right now. That's the world we live in. Over or under reaction, Sal?
I looked this up. First of all, if I answer incorrectly, the Lions are going to make me pay for it on Thursday night, right? So I'll say overreaction. Or is it the same reaction? Because, Tate, the Lions to win the Super Bowl 22-1, the Pistons to win NBA title, what do you think that is?
30-1.
22-1. It's exactly
wow.
the same.
I should have thought of that, yeah.
Are you team Cade Cunningham or team Aiden Hutchinson?
I just don't see the Pistons winning the NBA championship, even though I really like this team. Number 1 in the East right now. So I would lean more towards the Lions. I feel like they're a little bit due in the playoffs. They need some playoff fortune on their side for once. So I'll go Lions there.
So let's say the next 4 years, and wipe the slate clean. You have no allegiance to any team. You have to pick one. Which is the better rooting interest now? Who's going to make you happier, the Lions or the Pistons?
I'll say Pistons, just because they were so downtrodden for quite some time. And Cade Cunningham is such a likable guy, and like Jalen Duren. I mean, they're just a fun team. They got Tobias Harris a couple years ago, which kind of got them a nice little veteran presence in the locker room. So I like the Pistons. I enjoy watching them play. So I'll go with the Pistons. Why not?
Okay. All right. See how I made you change your mind and just
I know. I'm
basically
flip-flopping.
flipped it?
I'm waffling.
There you go.
It's not good. This is Detroit. I'm sorry. I like both teams.
Good.
You know,
That's
this is what they like to say in Detroit. What up, though? So shout out to all my guys in Detroit that say that. So next up, the sideline cutaways to Aaron Rodgers' mash face during Steelers-Bills was more entertaining than any visual provided by the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Over or under reaction, Sal? Maybe they'll make him a float next year. That'd be great.
Maybe. I don't know. The Diary of the Wimpy Kid float always tickles me. But I will say underreaction. Happy birthday, Aaron Rodgers. But CBS wasn't doing him any favors, cutting to his bloody nose and the deer in the headlight look after every negative Steelers play. He looked like he met up with one of his alien pals in the back lot and then took a beating. I don't know. What did you think about this? This was very interesting.
Yeah, the bloody nose in the press conference, also the pregnant pause as he thought about how he was going to attack the reporter that asked him about Mike Tomlin's coaching style. I mean, it was all very Aaron Rodgers to a T. He also finally took a little bit of accountability by saying that he needs to play better. So I thought that was encouraging. But put his head on a float. We need him going down. Little John doing turn down for what as the Aaron Rodgers bloody nose float goes behind him. That would be fun. I like that.
I already, within minutes of it, the best jokes, of course, are on the internet. They said it looks like he stiffed his ayahuasca dealer. It looked like he got busted trying to rob the Home Alone house. It was really all good stuff. So, again, happy birthday, Aaron.
Happy birthday. The Home Alone house is definitely a good one. Maybe he can be in the remake. We'll see what happens. Next up, Vikings backup QB Max Brosmer. Poor guy, provided us with the funniest play of the decade. If you didn't see it, one of the most insane pick sixes you'll ever see. Over or under reaction, Sal?
Well, I would have thought it was an underreaction, but then we saw Kim, the kicker, throw his hat in the ring last night. But I still think that was the funniest, most entertaining play. Brosmer's back fisting that pick six. The only competition maybe is Derrick Henry mooning the world, getting his pants taken off of him during a run. But I was more relieved than anything with the Brosmer pick because I had the Seahawks to close out a giant money line parlay. So when Brosmer back fisted the pick six, I was relieved, exhaled a bit, and then laughed and laughed and laughed. I'll say underreaction. Do you think it can be beat?
I don't think it can be beat. It was also just the camera angle where you didn't see the two Seahawks players. So when he let the ball go, you just think it's going to be an incompletion, and then it just turns into an absolute melee. It also was funny that they were talking right before on the broadcast about how they were like Kevin O'Connell was talking about in practice that no balls hit the ground. Which is true. The ball did not hit the ground. It just unfortunately went to the other team for a pick
sometimes
six,
it's okay if the ball hits the ground, like in that instance.
That was the one time you wanted it to hit the ground. So
you don't want it to hit the ground the first time when the Seahawks are spiking it in the opposite end zone. That's the only thing.
Yeah, and they had Howie Long after the game. They're like, did you have any takeaways for the rookie quarterback? He was like, this ain't New Hampshire, which, of course, he played at New Hampshire before transferring to Minnesota. So tough weekend for Brosmer. Let's hope he bounces back. Next up, Sal, it's more fun to argue about what is and what isn't an extra point than it would to extend the goalpost 6 feet higher. Over or under reaction?
Under reaction. This is the Adam Carolla theory. Extend the goalpost 6 feet and you're fine. And Adam was a carpenter back in the day. He would probably be willing to do the work himself for free at all 32 stadiums and even in Europe when
he doesn't want to do the zoning permits.
No, that's right. The permits are rough. That's it. That'd be funny. That'd be funny if that's what was keeping it from being done. But it's kind of weird. This is a pretty important thing, and we still don't have an answer for what happens for those in-betweeners that are kind of over the post but are not. And it's not something instant replay helps with either. So I think the fix is for now to call them all no good, right? You got a pretty nice area of success for these extra points, kicker. No reason to ever make it close. So don't kick it so freaking high.
Also, the refs had the worst view of it. The refs on the field, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The ones that make the determination. The best part is that they both look at each other like, what are we doing here? They're like, I don't know, hands up. It's good. Whatever. We'll move on. Next up, Sal, conference tournament Saturday is forever ruined by the NCAA football playoffs, a.k.a. the CFP. Over or under reaction?
I don't think there's any doubt. There's an underreaction. When the two best games feature teams who are definitely in the playoffs and may make 3 or 4 buys, right? The weekend's ruined. The biggest case is for the disruptors, right? The secondary game. Sorry, Tate. They're interesting, the ACC title, because there are teams like BYU and Duke who could screw over more deserving teams. But I don't even know what the solution is. I get over it almost immediately when we have those 4 opening round games in a few weeks for the playoffs. But yeah, this is definitely a less interesting Georgia-Bama game than we had even in the regular season.
Yeah, it was nice of you to say the ACC is interesting. That game is not interesting, and I do feel like at some point these conference championship games are going to get kind of booted to help with the schedule for the season. You know what I mean? They're going to try to sandwich everything back in to make the calendar make more sense, and we might not have these games in the future. We'll see what happens. Speaking of college football and future potential games, Lane Kiffin's daughter's boyfriend, aka Whit Weeks, will break the internet if he enters the transfer portal. Over or under reaction, Sal?
Yeah, listen, this Whit Weeks. So what does he do? I'm going to say under reaction, but he posted something like crying, laughing emojis, like when Lane made the decision, and he had 13 tackles and a sack this year. Like he had more laughing emojis than sacks this year. And your team lost to Ole Miss, which, maybe basically cost your coach this season. So I don't know. I'm rooting against this guy. Talk to me when he accidentally gets an Ole Miss co-ed pregnant. Otherwise, I don't want to hear from this guy.
Yeah, I also playing for your future father-in-law potentially feels like a conflict of interest. So that's going to be a tough racket there in Baton Rouge. But also people are saying he pulled the greatest swindle of all time. He got the daughter to help recruit the coach, his future head coach.
I guess so. Genius.
We'll
Geniuses all over the place. Yeah.
Too many geniuses. Last one, LeBron will miss no more than 2 games the rest of the season so he can qualify for the NBA postseason awards. Over or under reaction?
Yeah, well, I get the tongue-in-cheek question. It's an overreaction. He has his priorities. First is to make sure Bronny keeps his nose clean in the G League for the next decade.
Right.
Second is to bring home a title with the Lakers. He doesn't give a crap about winning these awards, which he has dozens of already. He needs to be healthy in April, and he's accrued up to 40 vacation days, so that's good. What's the actual number he misses, Tate? He has 15 so far. If I put it at 28.5, do you go over or under?
I'll go under. I think they were having a little bit too much fun without him, Sal. That's what I would say. LeBron was watching Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic and like JJ Redick smiling on the sidelines, and he's like, this is still my team. I will be back.
I got to look. He'll miss all the back-to-backs, right? He'll miss all the seconds in a back-to-back. So that's probably another 8 or 9. So I'm not sure.
It's great when you're old because you can wake up and just be like, my foot hurts today or my back hurts today. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, he's out. It's a good setup. Yeah. Shout out to LeBron. We love to see it. A lot of good games coming up. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to talk some college basketball, and we'll give our best bets for Tuesday night. Welcome back to the Ringer Gambling Show. I'm your host, Tate Frazier. We're here with Cousin Sal. We're going to do a one shining segment here, college basketball. If you thought Feast Week was great, Sal, we got some great games this week, a challenge week, some heavy hitters on the board, a lot of big-time matchups, blue bloods going head-to-head. So I'll turn it over to you. Are you going to watch these games, Sal?
Of course I will.
Okay,
I need some guidance from you. So let's start with your game, UNC Kentucky. Kentucky 6.5-point favorite, 163.5. What are you looking at here, Tate? Can you pull the upset?
Yeah, if Kentucky does not win this game, then I feel for Mark Pope. They're going to, he's going to be a Pope with the smoke, and they're going to be looking for a new head coach down there in Lexington. So I think Kentucky has to win this game. This is a must-win for Kentucky. North Carolina coming off a loss against Michigan State, a tough loss where they didn't really look the part. Vasar got in foul trouble, but I think Kentucky wins this game at home. So I would take Big Blue Nation in this one.
All right, Big Blue. Sorry about that. Tennessee, Syracuse. This is a get-right game for one of these teams. The Vols are favored by 7.5, 146.5. Syracuse lost 3 in a row. Houston, Kansas, Iowa State. Vols coming off a loss against Kansas. What do you see? Is this big number too big?
I don't see Syracuse winning this game. I really wish they would. They had a really good opportunity against Houston down there. The Players Era Festival goes to overtime. They're not able to win that game. They end up losing 3 games down there. So the season is going the wrong way yet again for Red Autry. I like Tennessee, a very physical team, and I think they're going to win the SEC this year. So I'll take the Volunteers.
Look at that. All right, Florida Duke, defending champ Gators, looking to repeat. Already a couple losses, including TCU on Thanksgiving. Go against undefeated Blue Devils and Cam Boozer. 8.5, 157.5. What you got?
I think Florida can cover this line. Arkansas gave Duke a run for their money. Duke was able to stretch it out late in that game, but 8.5 is a big number. So I think Florida in Cameron Indoor, I think they're going to be technically sound in this game. The front court might give Duke some issues in this one because of their size. So I think Florida covers the line, but I think Duke wins the game.
Duke has crushed me this year betting against them, so let's do it one more time. Why not? UConn, Kansas, 6-1 Huskies head to Fog Allen to take on number 21. Do we see Darren Peterson or not? This is a coin flip game, 1.5-point favorite UConn. Which way are you going?
I don't think Peterson will be playing in this game, but when he does come back, Kansas is going to be really good because they're getting a lot better without him, and now they're going to have the potential number 1 pick coming back in a couple of weeks. I think Kansas wins this game at home. I think it's great that they're getting points here. I think UConn is a little bit overrated, so I'll take Kansas.
All right. Finally, Iowa, Michigan State, 5.5-point favorite. Sparty 7-0. This is a Big Ten game. The big wins, right? This seems a little low after beating Arkansas, Kentucky, North Carolina. They're top 10 in the nation.
Yeah, Bennett Sturts. That's the name to know for Iowa. And I think that they're saying that Bennett Sturts could go in there and make some noise in the Breslin Center. So I feel like Michigan State should win this game. I'm not sure they're going to cover that line. So if you're feeling frisky, maybe you take the Hawkeyes in this one and decide to ride with the new head coach there. So, yeah, Bennett Sturts. Maybe that's the play, Sal.
That's it. Take it away, Tate. That's a lot of college basketball talk. We're going to be back on the other side with our best bets of the Tuesday slate.
Welcome back to the Ringer Gambling Show. Last thing before we get out of here, we got our best bets for Tuesday night. I turn it over to you, Sal. What do you like on the board?
Knicks +1 in the association. They own the Celtics, beat them up in the playoffs, took care of them in MSG by double digits early in the season. They've won 4 games straight, 3 of the 4 on the road. Bucks 115, 109.
I like it. I'm going to take Utah +8.5 over Cal in this game. We appreciate everybody tuning into the Ringer Gambling Show, and we will see you next week.
Must be 21 or older and present in select states, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. You must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 or older and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG, 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York in New York.